Joshua asks, I ride a small mountain bike and want to install a 170mm dropper post. How do I know which dropper post will work with my frame? We can't say it enough. Having a dropper post is the ultimate luxury for mountain bikers. As dropper posts approach ubiquity, long travel options are available now that once seemed unimaginable. This means that all dropper posts will not work with all frame designs and sizes. To ensure you purchase the correct size post for your bike, you'll need to know the diameter, overall length, stack height, and insertion length of the post. All of these measurements are listed in the features section at artcyclery.com. Dropper post diameters are currently 27.2, 30.9, or 31.6 millimeters, though it appears that 34.9 millimeter seat posts may be on the horizon. Make sure you match the seat post diameter to your frame's inner seat tube diameter. You must use the correct diameter seat post, otherwise you'll experience slipping and could damage the frame or the seat post upon installation. You can find your seat post diameter by pulling the one currently in your bike and looking for the engraved or printed numbers on the post, or by looking up your bike specs online. If you can't find the correct diameter seat post shims are an option, but this is not an ideal solution and options are very limited. At Art Cyclery, we measure overall length in a straight line from the bottom edge of the post to the middle of the seat post clamp at full extension. Most stated lengths from the manufacturer measure to the top of the clamp cradle, so they end up being a bit short. Stack height refers to the distance from the bottom of the post collar to the middle of the saddle clamp. If you insert the post into your frame as far as it will go, stack height is what shows above your seat post clamp. Insertion length is how much room is required inside your bike's seat tube to accommodate the post. This is mostly a concern for long travel posts on small frames. Insertion length is the distance from the bottom of the seat post collar to the bottom edge of the seat post. If you're using an internally routed or stealth post, you'll have to add a bit to account for coupling mechanisms on the bottom of the post. This varies across brands, but figure about 80 millimeters for RockShox reverb posts and 30 millimeters for KindShock and Thompson posts. To determine your insertion length requirements, measure from the routing port or frame bend in your seat tube up to the top of the seat tube. The last step is to measure your current saddle height to make sure your new dropper post will be able to match that height, taking into consideration the measurements we've just discussed. As a refresher, saddle height is measured in a straight line from the center of the bottom bracket spindle to the center of the saddle rail. Lastly, here are some best practice tips. As cool as it might seem to run your post collar flush with the top of your seat tube, this leaves almost no opportunity for change or room for error, and we'd strongly advise against cutting it that close. Even if it means having 25 millimeters less traveling your dropper post, err on the side of caution. Finally, for anybody wanting to run a longer post on a smaller frame, always beware of the minimum insertion line and never install a post short of its minimum insertion. Before buying your next dropper, grab a tape measure and a pencil, measure your bike, and then head over to artcyclery.com to find your next post. If you want your question answered on Ask a Mechanic presented by Art Cyclery, send your inquiry to content@artcyclery.com.